Namaste and welcome to this live edition of Live, Love, Engage. I am your host, Gloria Grace Rand, and I am so glad to have you, whether you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, or whether you are listening to this recording on your favorite podcast platform. I'm just really glad you're here today because we're going to be talking about nourishing your soul. And I'm going to talk about this in the context of actually food, believe it or not, because that's where the idea for this podcast episode today came about, is because of my ongoing relationship with food, which has been one of, let's say, how should we say? I don't want to say it's a love-hate relationship, but it has been a relationship I'm consciously aware of pretty much my entire life, because um, I learned as a child to reach for food as comfort. Yeah, it was more than just a way to be able to fill my tummy at night or during the day or whatever, the three meals. No, it was a way to be able to. It helped me. Uh, Well, I learned to stuff my feelings, because if I was feeling unhappy or I was feeling angry, I could reach for. Now this is going to be bad. So when I was a kid, let's see. I think my favorite junk food was either when I was dancing. I would go to dance class on Saturdays, and I would, during a break, I would go walk down to the little party store and get a bottle of grape soda and a bag of Fritos, okay? Not exactly the healthiest food for a child to be engaging in, and at this point, I was probably already in, like, middle school or something like that. And, let's see, what were some of my other favorite junk food was, those snowballs, Hostess snowballs, which is for those of you who don't live in the United States, you may have never seen them. It's a horrible thing. It's basically, chocolate cupcake filled with cream and then covered over with this kind of gooey something that had um, pink colored coconut sprinkled on top. Again, horrible stuff, really bad. And it still gave me pleasure eating that stuff. I'll be honest with you. Now, at the same time, I did eat other things, like I loved fruit, and there were certain vegetables that I enjoyed too. Okay, so what does all this have to do with nourishing your soul, you may ask? Okay, so here's the deal. So I have had issues with my weight up and down all of my life, pretty much. And there were times where I was heavier, and there were times when I was lighter. And the worst I ever got was after I gave birth to my second child, my son. And at one point, I ballooned up to almost 200 pounds, which on someone who is only about 5'3", it's not great. And I'm proud to say that happened about 15, 17 years ago, and I have not gotten back to that weight ever again. And at the same time, I've still had issues at times where I've been up and down. So I've the past week, I would say, I've been again sort of, some parts of the day I'd be making healthy choices, and then other parts of the day, usually in the afternoon, I would be doing some healthy choices, perhaps having some ice cream or cookies or something like that. And I had been ignoring the scale, and so I finally decided to pull the scale out, and it was like, okay, yeah, I put on a couple pounds from where I was, and I wasn't as happy about that, and it wasn't as bad as I thought either. And so I in my morning meditation, every morning I meditate, and I asked God for some guidance. I'm like, why am I doing this again? Why am I having I'm not being consistent. And even though I really want to be able to be consistent in making healthy food choices consistently because I know it's good for me, it's good for my body. And during my meditation, what came through was write a letter to food. And I thought, that's interesting. Now I was in a program for working with a money coach essentially, and at one point she had us write a letter to money to explore our relationships. So I thought, yeah, this is good. I do need to write a letter to food and figure out what my relationship with it is. And as I was writing the letter, what started coming up for me was the realization that, especially over the past couple of months, I have been mostly eating very well and making healthy choices and eating healthy foods. And I realized that when I would eat those healthy foods, they tasted really good from the first bite, the first mouthful of food I had until the last. It just tasted really good. And when I would eat other food, like cookies, for example, or even some caramel popcorn, the first couple bites were good, but then the rest, yeah, it didn't really satisfy. And yet, for some reason, I would still eat it anyway, because again, that was tapping in more of the emotional eating as opposed to eating to satiate both my taste buds and my stomach. And so I realized that it wasn't only my body, I think that needs and wants to and does enjoy healthy food, but it was really about my soul. My soul likes the healthy foods. My soul lights up. That's why every bite of, for instance, I've been making some cool salads lately. I've been making a radish salad and I've made some cooked cabbage that's just cooked for about a half an hour and nothing more than coconut oil and salt and pepper. It just cooks it down and it's, oh, so good. See, simple, healthy food. It's vegetables and it tastes good from the first bite unto the last bite. And that's because that's what my soul wants. My soul wants me to make healthy food choices. It feels good. Not only my body, but my soul likes it. So, my invitation to you today is to look at areas of your life where perhaps things aren't going the way you'd like them to. And this could be in your relationships with other people. It could be a relationship with food. It could be a relationship with money. It could be something involved with your career or your business. And I would invite you, number one, is to write a letter to that thing. So whether it is money, food, write a letter to the person. Don't have to send it to them. This is just between you and your higher self. But see if you can explore what is causing the challenge, shall we say, or the difficulty in that relationship. And you may be surprised or maybe not surprised, but it might reveal to you that you're out of alignment with what your soul wants for you. And that's why you're having a challenge. That's why you're having some difficulty. And then again, maybe pray over it, meditate over it, journal some more, and see how you can shift your relationship so that it does get back into alignment with you, with that higher self, your higher self. And recognize, as I do, is that this is a process and a practice that you may have to do over and over again because even yesterday I did consciously and that was the one thing I decided to do is that I really wanted to be mindful about every bite I took. And so yesterday, again, feeling a little out of alignment with myself and made not exactly the best food choices. However, I did wind up putting most of it away. So I didn't eat the whole thing, shall we say. And that was important to me to be able to then take care of my soul. And so even though I didn't make the best choice, I did choose and I chose to stop. And that's important. And it's okay because things are gonna come up for us from time to time that's going to perhaps lead us to make choices we don't always like. And when we are more mindful about it, because we've been doing some work like journaling and meditating and praying over it, then we don't have to stay down that path that's leading us astray as long. We can course correct and come back. And the more you do this, the faster you get at being able to course correct. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's so important. Okay, yeah. I think I've said all I wanted to say on that subject. Trying to think. Well, if something comes up, I will add into it. So I wanted to share with you I know one thing I know what I wanted to tell you is that if you are still having trouble after you've journaled and uh, meditated and you still can't quite see where you're out of alignment, excuse me, that is where working with a coach can help. That is where someone outside of your circle can point out where you have the blinders on because I've experienced that myself in working with coaches is they've been able to hear things that I've said that I wasn't aware of. And because it's sometimes things become so automatic, they're just a part of us and then we're not really listening to ourselves. We're not paying attention because sometimes we're too focused on where we're going as opposed to where we are in this moment that we don't hear it. And that's where a coach can come uh, to be that person, can be that person for you. So if you have a coach already, then call them, make an appointment, schedule some time with them. If you don't have a coach, I would be open to having a conversation with you. So definitely go to engagewithgloria.com and get on my calendar because it's so important to get another person's perspective. And whether it's me or someone else, it doesn't matter to me. You can, like I said, if you already know a coach or you've got a referral, somebody else you know works with a coach, contact them or contact me. Either way. But go talk to somebody. And it could be maybe you go talk to a good friend or you talk with a spiritual counselor, whatever works for you. But just know that you don't have to struggle alone to come up with the answers. Sometimes, oftentimes, it's really good to ask for help. And the other person that you're asking for help, that's going to make them feel good because they want to be of help to people. And so you're doing them a favor by asking for help. So don't feel as if you are being a burden. Know that people in professions like coaching, like counseling, healing, they are there. They chose these professions because they want to be of service to you. And so do take advantage of them. Okay. I want to share with you a daily word, as I always do from Unity. And I've they are such a wonderful resource. I just put in some keywords and I find the perfect reading to be able to share with you. And today's is from August 23rd of 2002, but it works. So the affirmation that you can affirm is, I nourish my soul and enrich my life by turning to God in prayer. And the reading says, just as surely as my body craves nourishment, so too does my soul. It hungers for an awareness of God's presence. So I nourish myself spiritually by turning to God and lingering in the sacred presence until my soul is satisfied. Divine ideas then flow into my soul, and as I act on them, I experience the good that is the basis of life. As I stay in tune with the presence of God, I discover all that I need to live a life of love, peace, harmony, and grace. I recognize and accept these divine qualities that add to the meaning of life as the heritage from God that they are, and I am fulfilled. I nourish my soul daily each time I turn to God and acknowledge the one presence and one power in my life and in all life. And then there's a scripture reading. It's from Philippians 4:19. God will fully satisfy every need of yours according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. Isn't that good to know? Doesn't that make you feel good to know that God will satisfy every need of yours? Yeah, because God is all life. God is that one presence and one power, not only in your life, but in all life. And we have access to that. And that's why I say it just requires asking for help. So whether that is in the silence and asking for God one-on-one for direction, or spirit, the universe, whatever you refer to it, I'm more comfortable saying God. Or it's seeking help from an actual human being. And that's okay too, because that human being is still a spiritual being, and we are all connected. We are all one. We are all one in God. And so when you are seeking help from another person, you are also seeking help from your higher power, from the source, the universe, God, because that's what we all are. We are all a part of that. And so, like I said, if you don't get a connection, you don't get a hit here, then go talk to somebody else, because that's what they're there for. And that's who can help you. Okay. So let's see what else we got. Do I have anything else to share today? Oh, yes, I do. I do have something else, and I'm going to do a light language meditation with you in a moment. But first, I want to talk about something else. This is a passion of mine that actually came about during a meditation recently. I get my best ideas during meditation. So this is why I recommend it, because truly, when you do some type of practice like this on a regular basis, watch what comes through. Because I've had songs, I've had book ideas, and now this new idea was something that came through. It was because I belong to a women's networking group, and they there was a local group that meets in my area, but they're not going to be meeting in person anymore, and so they've had to close down the branch. And I suppose I was feeling bereft about this, because especially I had just joined the leadership team, and I was disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to help out. And I think that's partly where this came from. But what came through was an idea to start my own group. And the name came through right away. And it was Soulful Women's Network. And what was amazing was that after this idea came through, and it came through about what to do and what it was going to be about, which I'll share with you in a moment, I went to search for the domain, and soulfulwomensnetwork.com was available. And I took that as a sign that, I need to work on this and look into it more and see what can happen. So the first thing that I did do was I started a Facebook group. So let me tell you a little bit about what this is for. So this group is for women of all ages and paths. So it's for creative, powerful women to support each other in business and life. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you work in an office, whether you're a professional, maybe you're a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor, whether you're a full-time mom, maybe you are an empty nester and now you're considering uh, changing careers, perhaps maybe starting your own business, or maybe you're simply retired. Doesn't matter. I know that it's so good to be able to connect with other women and to be able to have a safe place where you can come and share what's not only what's going on in your life, what's going right, but also sometimes the challenges that you might be having. Because when you bring, well, number one, what is it, the line from the Bible, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am. And when also two or more people come together, it creates this mastermind. That's what Napoleon Hill talked about, the author of Think and Grow Rich. So I love doing that. I used to facilitate a local networking group in the Orlando, Florida area. And I haven't done that for a few years. And I think that was the other reason I enjoyed doing that. And I want to do that again. So our mission is to live fully, to love ourselves and others deeply, and engage authentically with the world. And so we are having our first online meeting Thursday, October 13th, 2022. And if you go to the Facebook group, which is, if you just search for Soulful Women's Network, you'll find it. And then you'll see information about the online meeting that we'll be having. And my intention is to do an online meeting at least two months in a row, and then possibly do a live meeting in person in Central Florida. Then, so my intention is to meet online in October, to meet online in November, and then December, I would love to be able to see if we can't meet in person. So that's what that's all about. If you are a woman listening, I hope you will at the very least join the Facebook group, because it's going to be a great place to uh, be able to meet other people, meet other women, to share. I'm going to be providing trainings in there. There's going to be lots of good things. I'm still working it out, so you can check it out. But anyway, that's enough of the commercial for today. So since we're winding down the time here, I do want to share with you my other passion, which is to share a light language message with you today. I really realized of late that this is something that, pardon the pun, lights me up. And I enjoy sharing this sound healing. And that's essentially what it is. It's a type of sound healing. It is a message of love from higher realms. And it is something that I really enjoy sharing with people. And I enjoy sharing it here on the podcast. So um, I hope that if you are somewhere, especially where you could perhaps sit down and close your eyes and listen to this and focus in on it and just allow the sounds to speak to your soul. You don't have to worry about understanding it, because you likely will not, because I certainly don't understand what comes out all the time. Sometimes I get some hits, but it's definitely nothing that I can translate word for word, because it's a language that I believe, and from what my guides have shared with me, is something that we spoke before we came into this earthly plane, and it is a language that we'll speak elsewhere. And there's different dialects, just as there are different dialects of language and different types of languages here on planet Earth. So that's why it also, if you listen to other practitioners of light language, you will probably see that everybody's a little bit different. And there may be some similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. So I'm setting the intention today that the message that comes through will be one that will nourish your soul. Yeah, that's what it is. Hmm. Koyanal tuya que hasoa, cañón no que kauchi shote, año no colieta si ano que, año no colieta esa soe, oñaneka, año no cocina. Ona ika huyati, ano ika se, koyo no eka nina, sanyo ki haso, asonyo no ki, asoko, ekonyo no eka sina, Hesoyo tushi, onyo no kolita, eno no kohe, mono no koe, oshi no keihan, okoku, osonyo kekayo, anyo no kohe, oshinake, okono, okono kohe sonyo no e, oshinaka e ha, ano yokore to shina, heisho no korea pacha tato, ano korea kea kore tashikara nanea. Sakoniyo no koriata kikario no tushikatai, ono koriata kikari tati shakoriata kia. Mono koriata tiche te toia banana kikerio te torinka, e tato koriata no ku kapana neata sikariata te honkani tato te peato. E sato koria no kuia basha katata e ku wabama kikarita, e kariata tokinga, e shata kareba no kori, e tata te kari e to shikaria no te. Ana kriata tui kama toko we ba tu shakayata. E kare yo to koria mantoko yama ki karia tata shikani ata. E koto toki anda shikani ano kua mane karieta. E sata karia tata shikani ano koeka. Akaye no to yata no ti shata kare pato ne angaya. E kare ato to na kaya tata shikaria to tika. E sakaria to kia pokuria tata ki karia no ki karia no. Asakariota, shikariata te amakalianata, shikariata tu, ekariana, hishako, hanakia, hanakoe, hana ekareka hekam, asoyonoki, anyaraka keka he, oshanoke ha, enyake, ohonyane. Oshano, onoeka sekane, oshishani. I'm so blessed that you were able to join with me today. And thank you for those who are watching on social media. I really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful to those of you who've been listening. And if you enjoy the light language in particular, I would love to hear from you about that. I would love to know if you can go to liveloveengagepodcast.com. You can comment on the episodes there. You can also reach out to me there because it actually redirects to my gloriarand.com website as well. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know how this works for you. And if you also would be ever inclined to schedule a private transmission where we can actually work with you on a specific issue that perhaps could use some healing, I'm available for that as well. So until next time, I encourage you to go out today and every day and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.